So, hello everyone, Patbox here, and today I will be talking about modding. And well, server-side modding in 2025 because things change in like every few months nowadays with our Mojang updates. But first thing, just so everyone is on the same page, what server-side modding is. In short, it's just modding where you can't change the client. Client is a constant, let's say on latest version, there is no extra mods. Uh, oh no, I hope, I guess, might be some local issue. But yeah, the server-side modding is just modding where you can't change the client. It doesn't mean, however, that your target is vanilla. For example, in Fabric and server-side modding, and even I see when people ask about Polymer Super or other mods, there is quite, I guess, a lot of people that use just Cobblemon mod as an extra, and then use Polymer and other server-side libraries and mods to write add-ons and extra tools and gameplay changes for their server. Sometimes it's public, sometimes it's private. But yeah, server-side modding is getting more and more popular with a lot of mods nowadays, which you can even check on the server itself. Since there is, if you compare it from the last year and the first, well, no, 2 years ago and the first BlanketCon, there were like few server-side mods from me, maybe one or two from other people, but now it's like a dozen of mods and even some mini games. But yeah, nowadays the server-side modding changes a lot. Mojang is just cooking. I guess it started in 1.20, 1.2, where they changed how they version game. Well, I guess a bit earlier. And well, ever since they started updating the game more often, we are getting more tech changes. Both earlier and well, more of them if you compare the last few major versions. From things like custom music things and paintings, which are, I guess, nice, custom data driven enchantments, which will change a lot, allowing those data packers to make custom content. New attributes like scale or reach distance, which I even have enabled, funny enough, because it's nice for building and I guess breaking blocks, which is something you could see, I guess, 2-3 years ago, only if you installed mods. But nowadays it's just in vanilla. Something like the tick command, which allows you to slow time, can be also useful for mini games, for example. But also for trolling people, really, they get confused when tick rate changes. But yeah, I will reset it. And of course, the big thing nowadays, the data components, which allow you to make really fancy custom items and change the behavior. For example, on the latest version you could recreate 1.8 PvP, and servers now use it with effect. But of course, that's not everything. Well, we are already outdated on the BlanketCon server. With the latest version, you can make things like Iris compatible custom armor, which wasn't really possible unless you ignored. I guess you could do it, but you needed to ignore things like trims, which wasn't great. You can use transfer packets, I guess that's the older one, which allows you to move servers, but also things like new model format, which just allows you to make custom modded items, just like that look like model items, where they have different model in inventory and in hand, or I guess on ground, which is really nice. You can also provide things like custom colors and other custom data to just drive it home and make it just like modded, which I guess I will start building because I have a lot of time. Yeah, I be fair with you. I didn't really have time enough to create this tag. Sadly, aside from things like getting, I guess, everything done for the event and just life in general. But yeah, nowadays you can just, if you didn't know it, things like this you would think you need to install mods, but nope, it's all vanilla nowadays. From something like this to where's the items? I'm really unprepared. To events, something like the guns, I guess. Yeah, but also player input packets, which is something I will, I guess, talk later because it allows you to run Doom. But also recipe book changes, which kinda, well, makes things interesting. Regular modding nowadays is kinda centered about some older versions. Like, for example, most popular modding versions nowadays is 1.20.1 or 1.21.1. But that's already like a lot versions behind, and more so if you consider things like modern tech. Let's, for example, take recipe book changes. In 1.21.2, Mojang wrote how recipes are sent to the client. And nowadays, it's just written so it works with recipe book. For server side, the update was great. You can now express more complex stacks and items in recipes, and they will correctly show in things like crafting tables or furnaces. But for most, like for example, Amy or Ray or Jay or I guess these three recipe viewers, Amy and Jay didn't even update to latest versions or anything really past 1.21.1, which is a bit of pain. But also they could no longer work for a client side. You will need to install them on the server because Mojang's rework, while it's good for server side, it kinda hit the client side modding a bit. And the same issue is with modpack makers. They might expect you to actively develop and work on older version, but let's say if you do server side and you want to keep up with latest, it can get a bit of a pain to backport, which I can say even for this event because I did backport some of my, I guess, features later, and yeah, things really change for the better in later versions. I think even some things bugged because of it, but hey, things happen. But yeah, it is kind of get might be a bit painful. But to be fair, even if you are targeting vanilla clients, things aren't as nice as they appear to be. Geyser, okay, vanilla, but not exactly. I guess Bedrock. If you develop server-side mods, even more so, server-side content mods, then, or even regular, to be fair, you might find sometimes that people will report to you issues with Geyser or Bedrock because something doesn't work or something works, I guess, differently. And what can you do with it? Well, you can, I guess, support it directly, but that's work. But also, you don't really want to break it because technically it should work vanilla. But, well, hacks, some and tricks don't really work with it. If you develop more advanced, I guess, server-side mods, they just, yeah, they will break. I didn't have really prepared anything, but I think even Gator currently is breaking with some SGUI mods, which is weird. But to be fair, expected, because I do things that might not happen on Bucket servers. But I guess in a, yeah, it's cool project. We can't have everything. I think the main issue nowadays is it can't do resource packs as well. I guess they aren't compatible, and you need to convert them, which doesn't work always. Aside, things like UIs are just work differently. But I guess project is cool. But let's say, I guess that was enough everything I wrote, because yeah, sadly I didn't really have time and enough time to prepare for this talk. But I guess I can talk a bit after the slides end, because yeah, there are fun things you can do with server side. But I guess I will talk first what I was up to. Polyfactory, which originally showcased, I guess 2 years ago on BlanketCon. Nowadays is a full-fledged tech mode with, of course, source of energy, but also some decorative things like lamps and the entire data system. It's I kind of can't really show it here because I would need to build it, about, and that might take some time to, I guess, times I have. So it does, and I guess can, and is functionally a full-fledged mod. Something you couldn't really, I guess you wouldn't really see, aside maybe years ago as a demo. But this nowadays is kind of the standard. It's, how do I say it? Something like this kind of makes people actually want to switch to Fabric server side, because yeah, I see even in my Discord every now and then as that people say thank me for making things, so it allows them to just make and play with custom stuff, which otherwise is nice to see. Of course, it's not only mod I do. There is also poly decorations, because of course it's named like that. I'm not great with names, which is just decorations mod. It's not perfect. It's actually inspired by Aurora's decorations, which I would argue is better mod, but not because it's client side. It's just nicer. I didn't really have much time, much idea what I did. I just added some decorations. It's still nice since it's server side, and of course glide away, a nice glider mod. But it's not all I do. I also, not really recently, it's been out for a while, made a server side mod pack, Polymania, which I guess also is showcased. And it makes it simple to set up and play with server mods, because that can be an issue. As you know, users can't really follow instructions and often end up either breaking things or just not knowing about why it doesn't work. So preparing a mod pack for people like that just helps to use. Yeah, to be fair, it's not really advanced or does have too much custom things. I guess aside some few modified ports of the mods. But it's nice if you want to play with people that just don't want to install mods. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just could be better. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah, rest of nowadays, Polymania. It's in the, I guess, my area in the forest. There's a booth for it. But yeah, recently, I guess for April Fools, because that is the perfect day to release something fun, made Doom playable and vanilla game without the resource packs or anything. Because I was bored, and I thought, what would be fun things to do for April Fools? Well, play Doom in Minecraft because server side, of course, can run Doom. Yeah, I guess we can. Yeah, Jeju did, but that was with client side export. This runs fully server side. I can't really show the videos because we don't have anything set up this year. True, last year it wasn't perfect. It caused out of memory issues. But hey, things like that happens. But yeah, I guess we can talk how I made it work because that's quite interesting. The I guess maps. Oh well, for display I use maps because they have maybe not have too many colors, but they have interesting. They have enough colors for something like Doom. If you bump up the brightness a bit, because otherwise you end up um, with a bit game that's a bit too dark. But yeah, of course, displaying on maps isn't something new. People did it since always, since I guess map arts are a thing. But how do I detect mouse? How do I detect movement? To be fair, I might. So if someone wants to watch, I guess the answer video because as it shows it actually in action. I of course don't have preferred link. Yeah, it is. Actually, I thought I'm making this look like this was an idea, so it's stylized. And no, Doom is a DOS game. This made more sense. Worth noting, it contains my. I guess, yeah. It's actually just a graphic that's rendered to a map. And worth noting, the video I linked has excellent voice acting from my part. I guess the accent helps a bit with it. Yeah. But how does it detect movement? Well, there's a trick. It's not new trick. I did it with computer crafts few, I guess, 3 years ago. That allows you to just detect the mouse. If you make the player spectate an entity, but the player is also riding some other entity, you can capture mouse movement, which was everything you could do up until 1.21.1. So I mean 1.21.2. But since you couldn't really capture keyboard because it was ignored where player was in spectator. Same way you couldn't really capture things like control. You couldn't capture space. I guess you could capture shift, but I don't. Yeah, you could capture shift. It wasn't ideal, but well, it worked. But with 1.21.2, Mojang introduced something called player input, which makes which well they change the client. It sends the movement, as in players pressing SAT, Shift, and Control, and space. And well, it's just rough input. If I press it, it's true. If player is not pressing it, it's false. And this allowed me to easily implement, I guess, walking. It's kind of sad I can't show it because, well, it's a static image. But I guess you can see on the video linked before. But yeah, the audio thing is the weird. I also can hear myself. Fun. Yeah. And of course, there's also a small trick with using players changing the currently selected slot with numbers to detect, well, for weapon switching, and with some magic conversions of sound, which I did manually. I just made a table of names of Doom sounds to Minecraft Vanilla sounds, and then using node block lib by RD01, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that I think that was the nickname. To make music play in convert MIDI to node block sounds and play this. It was a fun project. It took me like 3 days, which includes, of course, doing things unrelated to it, and made April Fools of release for it, and that's about it. Fun fact: the demo for the server is still running, so if someone wants to check it out, I guess I can. Okay, yeah, here is link for the modding page. It's public mod, so and there are two servers, one in US and one in Europe. If someone wants to check it out, it's it's playable. It's quite playable, more than someone would think, really. Also, somewhat recently, yeah, I know you have it on your server. I hope I fixed it being laggy, but yeah, I guess I also made mirror pack for server, so for the running server, but that's a simpler project. It's useful. I recently even people someone thanked me for it, but I guess that's nice. Oops, I'm back. I need to do something. What was I? Oh yeah, but this was fun project. Server is still running if someone wants to check out. I guess that's because funny enough, yeah, I sadly didn't really have time to prepare enough. Yesterday I was still tired from not sleeping well and needed to do other things since I'm a, I'm at university nowadays. So it's not, and yeah, we are kinda in the middle of the semester. It's getting time consuming, let's say. At least that's the life. Hopefully for next BlanketCon I have a bit more time. I also thought I might try doing a YouTube series since I feel like my accent is way lower nowadays, so would be just easier for me to, I guess, record things. But yeah, that I guess was everything I had prepared so far. It was around 20 minutes, which I think is fun. So I don't know how if Q&A stuff is enabled. If someone wants to, I guess it could be enabled. I can answer some questions.
Hello, is this working? Testing,
I
testing.
can't wait. I can hear you.
You can or can't? My mic's too low. Okay. I'm just testing it works up here so others have confidence to come up. I'll ask a question later. Testing. One, two, three. Are you getting the question? Getting through? Am I just like really quiet? Someone else want to go? Oh, okay, I see. Is that working? Okay, yeah, that's working. Hello, Patbox. How's it going? You are muted, I believe. Now.
I
Testing.
don't understand the client mod. Sorry.
No, that's all
Yeah.
good. Testing.
So I will, I guess, read the question.
No, fair enough.
And
No, wanted to say like the server side stuff is pretty interesting these days.
by the way, I still can't really hear you.
Oh man,
And I have
I'm in the
question first. I
process of
want
someone
to
else.
handle this question.
Yeah, you handle that question.
So you've been interested in server-side development, and you wanted to make a custom hat. So the easiest way to do it is just action bar and positioning it, whether it's by hand or using some library. there is no perfect way for it because it's kind of one thing is annoying. Second, it's not actually perfect. You can get it look nice, but it will also break when someone makes some mod, I guess. And well, only one person can do it unless there is some library for it. But even then, it's going to be set incorrectly. Might be even worse. It doesn't really work well with translations, or if player installs custom uh, font if you do regular text. Yeah, that's I guess the answer. So if anyone has more questions, I guess feel free to ask either by writing them or asking.
What is the compatibility difference between server side only versus both?
I mean, compatibility is probably the same. If that's what you mean. If you mean between the server side mod and the regular mods, it heavily depends really. Sometimes, for some mods, it's perfect. You won't notice an issue or anything. But sometimes you can get really broken things and client side crashes. It heavily depends. True, this blanket got on us a lot of server side mods and everything worked fine, so it really depends on what mods do. And even then, Polymer tries to work around some issues. Does it work now? Weird. I mean, I could hear myself, so. Anyway, feel free to ask questions if you have any.
I guess I'll grab back the mic if there's no other questions for anyone else.
You might want to bump your
Oh, I've got to bump it again. Okay.
volume for your microphone.
Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna. Is that better?
Oh yeah, that's
This might be too loud. Okay, that's probably too loud.
no, that's perfect actually.
Is that it? That's actually perfect.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, I think I'll take them. Very interesting stuff going on in the server side stuff. Like, there's been a lot of the discords and stuff opening up now regarding server side modding and stuff, and it's all quite interesting. And I'm curious about stuff related to like the minigame side of stuff, which is what I had the main interest in, and things like nucleoid, Trombox,
Yeah.
and adding like these sort of features into those games, like the more client side heavy things and all that. I'm curious what you think on that, because we've recently had the enablement of the resource pack for games on that sort of stuff.
You mean as in using clients and mods for minigames or
No. Well, yeah,
just new
that
features
that,
for minigames?
like more of like in line with the custom features, whereas previously on Nuclear, resources weren't on. So like the custom fonts, custom UIs and stuff. I think
I
it'll be
like
very
that. Yeah, I
interesting. Yeah.
plan to use it for Nucleoid, and I think that's can allow for a lot of interesting design.
Yeah, I think it'll open up a lot of interesting things with that. And I've seen some servers start to use those sort of things. Like, I think MC Brawls was a recent one I've seen that's been using part of Fantasy and a lot of the SGUI stuff.
Yeah, it's
Interesting
getting to be
developments at the
fair,
moment.
it's kind of nowadays a standard to use resource packs.
Yeah, definitely. Like a heap of the
Nucleoid
stuff
is
you've
kind of
created
behind.
no, I'm well aware, and it's interesting to work with a lot of the stuff still. And
Yeah,
I'm hoping to get the
actually,
Doom and stuff on my server soon.
yeah. To be fair, the Doom is more of tech demo than anything you
Yeah, but I'm
might
gonna
really
put it in
want.
an arcade, some random place in the lobby.
Yeah, some people are a bit fun.
Someone will find it and then crash the server somehow.
Yeah, no, it should be stable.
Yeah.
I actually
Very
plan
cool
to
stuff.
make Nucleoid use the resource packs You just need a bit more time really to get it.
Yeah, no, there's definitely stuff. Like I've started to use some resource packs on my fork of it.
Nice.
But I don't think I have any other direct questions. Has anyone else got anyone else?
You have to put the mic back.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
Is your Doom mod the full version or a demo?
Technically, it's entire Doom engine, so it should just work if you provide full full watts. But yeah, I can't really include the full Doom game because could get sued. You know, copyright and stuff. Yeah, it's breaking. I don't know if it's. I guess it's ranged. But yeah, I can't really include full Doom game because that would violate copyrights and I would have issues. To be fair, including shareware is kind of iffy even. But I guess if it includes also Freedom, which is kind of full game. Yeah, I guess the setup kind of would need a bit more work. Guess that's for next BlanketCon. Which might be next year, might be in 2 years. We'll see really. Nothing concrete yet.
I'm gonna pick up the mic again. I don't know if there's been any other questions while I was AFK for a bit. Cool. And another question: do you have any plans in the future looking for stuff that's based purely on Polymer for entities and stuff? I know that I'm gonna butcher the name. Tom's been. I'm just gonna say Tom. Tom's been working on some with Filament and Blockbench tool. Is there anything that you've been looking at through just using base Polymer? Regarding entities, because I don't think there's any examples of it with just
I
that.
think. I mean, there is like the Illager expansion Crafted, I guess,
Yeah,
which uses polymer.
That's true.
But yeah,
always
I
forget-
kind. I want.
played
I
the old
want
version of
to
it where it
make.
was just the entities with the heads. I forget that it's now got the
Yeah.
custom entities in it.
I mean, I want to make a custom, I guess, mod, adding more mobs, monsters, and such. Just time isn't on my side. I have like a list of things I want to do,
Yeah, I'm
but just I
curious
don't have time.
what's the process like that in base Polymer?
Yeah, just I guess implement the interface, set up which entity it should show if you want that, or I guess use custom virtual entities
Okay, yeah,
like
that
the
sounds
ones
interesting.
Polyfactory uses. Just attach
Okay, so
the
similar
entity.
sort of like that. Yeah, okay. That sounds interesting. Something I wanted to look into because I was thinking of implementing stuff for it and I have no idea where to start. But I think I'll probably use like some Atomic stuff for the abstraction because I
Yeah,
don't think
I
I'm at
mean,
that level.
to be fair, it what does what it does. It's just abstraction over that, so it's a bit
Yeah,
simpler.
definitely. Thanks for asking my questions and everything.
So yeah, if someone wants to ask anything, feel free. If not, we can go, I guess, play Boulder Dash, since it's server-side mini game. Because why not? Yeah, the awkward silence. But yeah, I might wait a minute or two. But if there are no questions, I will just open the game. Yeah, don't worry. I didn't really. I disconnect all the time. It's annoying. I really need a better setup than this. I mean, Phonos is cool mod, to be fair, but we need better setup. I mean, yeah, that's I guess how I play the game when I'm just talking or thinking about something. Run and jump. I guess there's no more questions, so let's play a game.